Welcome back to DC Decoded, where we break down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's capital. I'm, as always, your host, Sam Lee. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different, and we're going to be talking about what I personally think is one of the best AI news sources out there today. And there are many, but this one's a little different. It's named the Era Arc, or T for short, and it is a daily AI substack that tells you 5 things that you need to know about AI. It spans business, culture, other things related to AI, funny stuff, serious stuff, and it's been going on since the beginning of this year, very consistently, I might add. And it is probably my most read AI source. And as someone who reads a lot of AI, that is saying something. So I'm so excited to be able to have the Tea Keeper here with us today. And Tea Keeper, can you just give a 1 minute origin story of the Era arc? What do you publish and for whom?
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Sam, for having me today. It's absolutely my pleasure. And before I, start my origin story, I just want to say, thank you so much
Of
for,
course.
being so supportive. The reason why I started my newsletter was because like, since the beginning of 2023, I think late 2022, when ChatGPT first came out. I got very, very interested in that. And also because of my work, I was involved in kind of like incorporating AI into one of our projects. That's how I, got involved in the first place. And then I was like, how do I kind of keep myself engaged and updated, especially with everything going on. So I subscribed a lot of newsletters on my own. I created a new account just for subscribing all the
Wow.
newsletters.
Okay.
And in the beginning of this year, I was like, after reading newsletters for over 2 years, I've always wanted to share some of the news pieces to my friends here and there. And I was like, why don't I started start my own newsletter. So
Yeah.
that's how it begins. And I really appreciate your help because I started off just kind of trying to hold myself accountable by reading every day and also sharing, choosing one of, like 5 of the ones that I've read throughout the day. So I only started off, sharing this news to my friends and family. Um, and I didn't really promote it as much, but I think I promoted like 2 times maybe in AI Collective, and then I found Sam. So I'm very, you don't know how much it means to me when people that are not my friends and family now you became my friend, which I'm very, very honored
Me
to
too.
kind of be supportive of the work that I do. I really appreciate that. So I
Yeah.
think it's probably over 1 minute, but that's pretty much the story.
No worries. And I very much appreciate the work you do. I want to read a little bit from your first ever Tea Time post. It's called The First Brew. It was published on January 14th, 2025. You talked
Mhm.
about how you wanted to accomplish diving into latest trends in AI, blockchain, and quantum computing, also updates from business, tech, HR, and marketing. You wanted to be able to share knowledge, build and find community, and then learn more knowledge and insights about AI, your writing skills, your personal branding practices, and of course, organizing all of this. So I'm curious, based on those initial foundational values, if you want to put it that way, do you feel like what has stayed since then, like what has stayed true, and maybe what has shifted, maybe in terms of the goals?
Wow, that's that. Well, you definitely have done a lot of research. I should probably go back and read it again. The goals of me starting this newsletter. That's a really good question. I This is what I think. I don't know if you've heard about this psychologist slash thinker, Jordan Peterson. He
Yep.
is very impactful, I think, to me. One of the things that he said was you have to be precise in your language. It's in one of the 12, one of his books, which is called 12 Rules of Life. There's one which is called Be Precise in Your Language. So essentially what he meant is we have to be careful in terms of what we say. And it's not just enough just to consume content. It's also very, very important when you produce, because when in the process of producing content, you actually solidify your understanding. So you don't
Yep.
actually know until you do the opposite. I'm sure you probably uh, understand what I'm talking about, especially if you have to do podcasts. So in order to write like an article, I probably have to read more than 50 articles in order to produce one. So I'm still in that journey. I finished a series of articles that I wrote involving cryptocurrency, which is based on this book written by Hayek. It's called The Nationalization of the Money. And I've been wanting to start my second series of columns, which is around AI and how this technology can be, it's already revolution, right? We're kind of like
Yeah.
in a pivot. Um, of all those transitions. I haven't really figured out the details because I don't, I'm still waiting for the moment, but I don't think I should, procrastinate anymore. And I wrote that actually for tomorrow's newsletter that I
Oh,
will start kind of, crafting that. Um, so, to answer your question, I think I'm still in the journey of kind of carving out what I want with this newsletter. There is as you can see, actually, from the very beginning, in mid January up until now, it's like almost 8 months. There is some changes here and there.
sure.
But essentially, I'm trying to also kind of figure it out what is the message that I want to convey through those 5 pieces of news every single day. I would say it's a learning journey, and I really appreciate um, anyone including you especially who's been so supportive of me trying to figure it out in this journey.
One of the things I find most impressive about this Substack is that the consistency is almost unmatched. You are posting pretty much every weekday. Anybody can see that on your Substack. As somebody who gets your Substacks, I know around 9, 10 a.m. what's going to be hitting my inbox, and that is the daily tea. What what moment made you feel like you should be trying to do this almost daily versus maybe weekly, maybe bi-weekly? That's kind of the advice content creators get to avoid burnout. How did you decide to do it that way? And then
Mhm.
how have you been able to make that stick for the majority of this year?
Oh, that's a great question. To answer your first question, why did I decide to do this, daily, weekly, instead of weekly? Last year, I still remember last year in summer in like July, maybe for like 2 weeks because of my work, I was super busy. So I was not able to kind of read all my newsletters that I subscribed on this exclusive Gmail account. And then after 2 weeks, because I didn't read anything, I was like, I was very overwhelmed with my work. So I didn't really consume any news. And then when I went back to my mailbox to check what's going on in the world of AI, I didn't know anything. I was like, before I would know, which product got launched, which model was released, what's going on. I would know not inside out, but I would know actually the headlines in that time frame. But I didn't know anything. And think about like how much you would miss within just 2 weeks. It's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
So that was a moment even till up until now I still remember the feeling of FOMO. Like I was having FOMO the whole time. I think for a week I was like, I should definitely hold myself accountable and make this a routine because motivation will fade. But discipline is not gonna fade. So I'm trying to kind of build this into part of my routine, part of my discipline. And I don't want to also be the enemy. And there's also one thing that's what Jordan Peterson said. He said you don't have to be your worst enemy to be able to become the best version of yourself. And for someone like me, I tend to blame myself too much. Kind of set up a bar too high that's not realistic, and then I will blame myself for not being able to reach it, which I don't think is healthy.
Sure.
So I'm trying to. I also give myself actually 7 passes that I could
Okay.
use throughout the year. So
Huh.
like if I get very busy with work, if I'm sick, or if I just really don't want to do it, like I'm in a bad mood,
Mm,
I could use those passes. So far I've used I think 3 or 4. I'm still
okay.
counting. So I still have those free passes. So yeah, that's the answer to your second question.
Yeah, that sounds like some
Yeah.
paid time off system that you have 7 PTO days. So you're taking your personal days. I love that. And something that we've been bringing up is just how many different AI topics you manage to hit. You go from AI video to AI in academia to Australian crypto ATM rules to Ukraine's drone strike. I'm curious, how do you qualify one of your 5 AI news stories of the day as a must know? Because as you just mentioned, you're reading a lot more than you're writing. So how have you learned to filter from everything you're reading to like these are the 5 things for today? Like what's that filter like for you?
That's a very good question, Sam. When I first started, I know there are some news that I just want to share to everybody, but it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint exactly why. That's why I started this Tea for Thought section, because I want to kind of write down the reason why I think this news is important and what it implies, what it means
Yeah.
to us, to kind of make it explicit for myself why I think it's important. And I think, in terms of must have, I'm sure you probably have read a lot of like headlines, either from TechCrunch or all those, I would call them big tech media websites. The headlines are very similar. Like, say for example, Apple has this new product, everybody's talking about that, or Google launched Nano Banana, so everybody's talking about that. I tend to kind of avoid those headlines, not necessarily because I, that I don't think they're important, because they are. Otherwise, why everybody's talking about that? But I want to kind of identify those news that is hidden. So before they become the hot topic. And in this past 8 months, since I started newsletters, there are like I think 3 times at least, to my knowledge. As far as I could remember, that I actually found those some topics that became hotline the next day,
Mm.
which felt really, really good. Those are the things that I'm trying to catch. Maybe not the hotlines at the moment, but they might be in the future. And in terms of the filters, how do I filter those topics out? That's something I'm trying to figure out as well. But I have 2 principles. I would First one is, as you can see, my newsletter does not only covers top topics around AI and technology in general, it also covers crypto, blockchain technology, and I have this firm belief in the future, where AI and blockchain technology and quantum computing will be integrated as a whole. So like the Chinese. 八卦风水 the how would you call it? The feng shui yin and yang, the graph where there's black in the white and then there's white in the black. And I think AI, as in data algorithm, is like this yen element, which is always vibrant, it's alive, and
Mm.
blockchain, which is this decentralized ledger that is immutable, transparent. Anything that's written on the ledger cannot be changed, and it could be seen and tracked by everyone. And so that's the in element, which cannot be changed. It stays stable. And then in the middle, the little, I actually, if you go back to one of the first few articles that I wrote, it's actually one of the reasons why I started, because I really believe in that. So the quantum computing is like the engine that kind of moves this wheel
Mm.
of yin and yang, and data will be the fuel, because even up until now they're talking about, one of the articles I think I published today, talking about how the LMs, all the models, are not as hot as before, because
Yeah, I
people
saw that.
Yeah, because it kind of becomes like oil or gas. It's one of the commodities. The shift now happens to from the oil, from the foundation, from the models to the applications. And I really do believe in that future. So all the articles that I choose, it kind of are the ones that are calling me to kind of to this future that I envision, which will really, kind of empower everyone on Earth. The decentralized future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Well, I would stop you here. That's one of the yeah, I would say the main criteria, the vision that I have in my head whenever I read all the news out there.
Well, I think in addition to the five stories that, as we now know, are excellently filtered, you also find ways to make this fun, right? Because AI can become, especially those specific topics of how it relates to blockchain, crypto, quantum, that can get pretty dense pretty fast, even
Mhm.
in the concise ways you're explaining it. But you also have prompt tips of the day, which is a little more helpful and just discreet. You also have teehee moments on just excellent memes. And I want to ask in a bit like how you find those and what's the secret to a good meme. But I want to start actually with something that I've seen you put in most of your posts, which is you mentioned it's a great time to be alive. You say, what a great time to be alive, usually with a sparkle emoji. Can you explain why that has been such a constant? Like, what does that mean to you?
You ask very, very deep questions.
It's
That's
my
a
it's my
great.
job. It's my job.
um, yeah, I'm very, very grateful. Every day when I wake up, I'm very grateful for the new day because not everybody is able to wake up to a new day.
Hmm.
Like how the tragic that happened last week, right, with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
He's very young, and like in 1 second he's gone just like that. So I am very grateful to be alive every day, just for my life, being able to breathe, to see, to hear, to feel. Actually, that's the something that I do every day in the morning before I get up. I would kind of feel all the senses that I have, and be grateful for them because it's definitely a privilege. Um, and the other thing that makes me feel so good, so grateful to be alive is we're really like, on the edge of this revolution that's already happening, that's powered by technology. This book by John Laviette, I forgot his last name, Power Shift, it talks about the structure of power. So basically, there are three elements. One is through force, like physical force, like military force. The other is uh I forgot. Actually, give me 1 second. The other is information, and then the third one is actually the ability to kind of differentiate, to kind of seize, know what's right and what's wrong. So from that perspective, we are in this era where anything, if you want to learn anything, you ask, you will be answered. You seek, you will find because technology is really like democratizing. Um, like what Johnson Huang mentioned, he often uses ChatGPT as a thought partner.
Yeah.
So it really provides this tool for anyone who wants to kind of build something in this world. Before you would be like, oh, I don't know, I don't have the resources, but now everybody does. So I think it's very, very exciting. And we should cherish this moment. I think any second, any minute that we're not really working on to kind of work to cultivate our potential is going to be a waste. That's what I'm trying to kind of be very intentional and thoughtful of my time and of what I do. So yeah, so that's why I'm very, very grateful, and I'm
Yeah.
also very grateful for this moment because life is very precious. Life is
I
really, really
agree.
precious. Yeah.
Yes, I 100% agree. I'd be remiss if I didn't quickly ask you where you find your memes. Guys, I'm telling you, every post has great memes. Like one from today's was on the left side. It's like divided into two sides. On the left side, the text goes ChatGPT 4.0's reaction to I love you, and it's like a bride on wedding day. And then on the right side is ChatGPT 5's reaction to I love you, and it's a man looking very skeptical. I think that this represents the backlash that
Hmm.
OpenAI received when ChatGPT 5 was not as friendly as some claimed as previous models. So I have to ask, where do you find your memes for these daily posts?
That's a great question. I am actually thinking of making some of my own. I did
Okay.
actually before.
Okay.
But the majority of the memes that I found usually are either from Twitter, X, or from Reddit. I often kind of just scroll through Reddit. I think people are just very very smart, and they're very very quick when it comes to kind of creating all those memes. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
also, yeah, there's those meme templates that we could use.
Mm,
But
true.
usually in general, um, when I don't have time, I will go to Twitter/X or Reddit for those memes.
All right, guys, there you go. The secret sauce of the memes for the daily tea. Something that I really appreciate about the newsletter, maybe I've already mentioned it, but it's just the right amount for somebody who, like me, wants to be involved in AI, but doesn't need to be like steeped in it during the workday. I'm just like constantly reading the news. And I think the reason why I wanted to talk to you on this podcast specifically is because I really think a lot of AI professionals in DC can benefit from reading this or even just checking it out. When you started this Substack, I know you mentioned it was for friends and family, but did you have an ideal reader in mind? And if so, what decision do you hope they make differently after reading?
um, yeah, that's a good question. Um, Originally, when I first started, I wanted to share uh, the news that I choose to those who might find interesting, meaning they are also interested in what's happening in the world of technology, in AI, in
Mhm.
blockchain. And if, I think they're important, and I will write some comments of why I think they're important. Hopefully, those that are also seeking the same might find them helpful.
Yeah.
Um, and gradually, actually, it's not gradually, but one of the questions that you just asked, I only mentioned the first criteria of how I filtered the news. The second criteria that I usually use, it might be a little political, but I don't think it's political. But I think politics is part of the revolution because, as I said, technology is like the foundation that drives revolution. And politics is all about power, and this technology brings the force to those powers. So it's very, very important. The other criteria that I have for my news is me being a Chinese person myself. I really do believe um, in the goodness of Chinese people, and I don't think the Chinese government should represent the hardworking, intelligent, and humble Chinese people. So and I know there's a lot of kind of battle now. Either in economy or in technology everywhere between China and U.S. And I want, if just one person could um, read my newsletter and know there are those group of people, and I'm one of them, that do not agree with what the Chinese government does. And we are, um, I am just one of them. I want to make it kind of obvious to my readers, and at the same time I want to point out the things that um, the Chinese government does through technology that could be harmful, not only to the U.S. but to the whole Western civilization, and it could be very dangerous. So it's like a lot is at stake, high stakes. Um, so that's something that I want to also, to kind of not let my readers know. And I know some might get a little annoyed with that being too opinionated, maybe to some, but I really do believe in that. And there I don't know if you know Tina Huang, who is this pretty famous podcaster on YouTube as well. She does
Yeah.
a lot of like skills and tips of using all the AI tools. And she said, the future AI war is between the Chinese in China and the Chinese in America, which I think is pretty funny. But you did definitely see, a lot of Chinese people, especially in the U.S., are super talented. All the I think over half of the AI engineers and researchers that were poached by Meta, from OpenAI, from all the other big techs, are actually Chinese, um, which is something that I'm very, very proud of. But I also, just want to put it out there. The government is different from us, and we don't agree with what they do. And Chinese people are great. This is maybe something that I feel very, very strongly about. And yeah, that's a long answer to your question.
No, I love it. I want to
Yeah.
go quickly back to your first ever post, and a comment left by a user is, "It's hard to believe this is the first post from the writer. Your content is comprehensive, practical, and engaging. What's the update schedule? Looking forward to the next one." I hope they stuck around and figured that out. What has the feedback been like so far? I assume a lot of it's been encouraging from your readers, but has there been any pieces of feedback that have been surprising or that you've incorporated as well? I'm just curious to learn more about what the response has been like this year.
That's a very good question. I so far actually the first comment that was left by one of my friends. It was
Okay,
pretty funny. Well, she was
great.
very encouraging.
That's a great friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So far, I haven't really received a lot of like direct feedback, and I think I got feedback from you, which I'm very grateful for. I would love to hear feedback from my readers. So to all the fans out there of Sam, if you're interested, please let me know what your feedback is, and I would love to discuss and share and learn from each other.
Awesome. Let's get a little more into your process. So, for you, what are your top signal sources? What are your go-to reads when you are curating these posts every day?
That's a great question. I usually, as I said, I have a Gmail account dedicated for subscribing for all the newsletters out there. I subscribe at least I think 50. So depending on how much time I have, there are definitely my go-tos, including the Bay Area. I think that one is my go-to one
Okay.
because it's very comprehensive. It covers technology, politics, everything, pretty much everything. That one is something that I read every day. TLDR is also pretty
Yep.
good. I like TLDR crypto especially because it covers some of the news that it's very hard to kind of find elsewhere. TLDR AI is okay because it's like pretty much covered by all the other channels.
Sure.
Sorry, TLDR AI, but I do think it's not as like special. And I also read. I think TechCrunch is also pretty good. Um, yeah, and then the Neuron, maybe you have subscribed to that as well. I think the
Mm.
Neuron really does a good job, kind of really dig deeper into what's going on in the world of AI. I've learned a lot from them. And I think I would spend at least 30 minutes every day just trying to kind of go through their newsletter to kind of click on each one of the links. Oh, and then the other one is AJ Green. I don't know if you know him. He
Yeah.
actually also writes. Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
able to spoke with him a couple of times. He's
Oh,
very,
great.
very
Yeah.
humble. He also showed me how he kind of does his newsletter, and he's been doing that for over a year. He finished like 500 plus newsletters every single day. He even does a weekend one. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity because I think everybody's very driven, constantly learning, improving. But yeah, those are pretty much my go-to ones. But I can definitely give you a list. I have a bunch that I read every day. Yeah.
Yes, maybe we can send that out. We love AJ as well. A quick shout out to him. What tools do you use to write and create? Obviously, you're on Substack, but are there any tools you want to highlight on how you organize your research? Right? Any tools you want to shout out there?
Yeah, I use Notion. to organize
Explain
which is
that,
the product.
please.
Do a shout out for on behalf of Sam. But I actually even on Notion I kind of reorganized the whole process, the
Okay.
database a couple of times as well. So now I have a whole like a one placeholder as a database for all of the news, and I do the tag and I do all the notes over there, just so that sometimes when I want to go back, I can just search the keyword. It's like all in one place. And then I would also use I have this prompt library of me. I collect all the prompts that I've read everywhere to one place, and I would you kind of also label it, depending on if I use it for business or for personal, for there are different categories out there. And then there is one prompt that I've been also kind of revising constantly for newsletter as well, for this newsletter. And I tried different AI chatbots, including, ChatGPT when I first started, and then Grok. And now I moved to Perplexity. I think Perplexity does the perfect job. So you see all the summary of the news. I actually, if I think some of the lines need to be emphasized, I would make sure to put in my prompt, this
Mm,
needs to be covered in a summary. And I do that a lot because, there's a lot of newsletters. Like, how do I make sure the thing that I want my readers to read is there? So I have to put it out there. But for all the T for thoughts, I only asked, the AI tool to polish the language, only to fix the grammar. So I write that for every single T for thought. So pretty much that's my the order of how I do things. Perplexity has been very, very helpful. Their a browser Comet I think is pretty good. It's very
okay.
tempting. They are always reminding me to make it default. I haven't though yet, but I was going to. It's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. We'll see where we are with that in a few months. But there you go. We love Notion, of course, here at the AI Collective. We use it on a national level. I am a Notion ambassador. We've run several Notion DC events, one's coming up in a few weeks. And if anybody out there wants to try Notion for free, including the AI features for 3 months, if you are a startup or small or medium business, including a solopreneur, we'll have a link in the description for you to get 3 months of Notion AI free. But I kind of set you up for that one because I know you use Notion, so I'm glad that came up without even more prompting because that would have been a little humiliating for me. So, as somebody who does read so many different AI news sources, how do you keep the era arc fresh and new? I mean, of course, there's like the 5 news stories and the way you lay out both seriousness and levity in the previous points we've covered, but I'm sure that must be constantly on your mind because you don't want to just add to the noise. So, like, how do you feel like the era arc continues to meet the moment in that way every day, where you're not just contributing like another repeated development, but you are finding those somewhat hidden news stories? Like, how do you keep that going? Because I think that is for me, like the most impressive part of this Substack.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely there are those days when after reading all of those newsletters and news websites, I found it very hard to choose five. Those days do exist, trust me. And then in those moments I don't want to kind of just choose randomly, the ones that I don't think are important, and I would just fill the blanks. I don't like that. I think whatever we do, we should put our the best effort into it. So in those moments, I would, usually read more research, the ones that are not time sensitive, but are also relevant to either AI or blockchain, or some are just motivational. Because I like that. Sometimes we need to kind of remind ourselves there are people that are going through the same as ours, and we should just, keep moving. So if I find it very difficult to find the news that are super trendy or the news that speak to me, I would usually do that. But I try my best not to just randomly choose news just because I don't have better options. I don't do that.
Looking ahead, what are the improvements you want to make to the era arc? Do you want to change the number of stories, the different sections? I'm curious, like what tweaks you might be thinking about as we close out 2025 and look towards 2026.
Um, that's a very good question. Originally when I first started, my goal was to do daily news every day plus one weekly column where I kind of, really dive deeper into one topic and write like a commentary article. But that's been challenging because even just with one article with daily news, it's a little hard to manage. So I only did the crypto series, but I haven't really done the other topics. So I'm trying to um, maybe not do like a series, but something that I want to focus, weekly. It might be random. Like this week, I want to actually write about um, the Testament of Moses, which is a documentary, not documentary. It's like a fantasy drama. On Netflix that I watched over the weekend, which really made me think, about how, we kind of live our life, the challenges that we go through, what's the meaning of life. Because I think essentially, with AI, I think AI is just a tool. Um, it's means, it's not ends. If if anything, it's means to an end. So it will accelerate the journey um uh, the how would you accelerates the way we get there, but
Hmm.
it's still part of the journey. um and asking why we do this, why we live, why we do this, what's the purpose of life, what's the meaning of life is very, very essential. As they said, anyone who knows why would bear any how. And now AI kind of augments everyone. AI kind of provides this how to us. So as long as we know why, we will get there, because AI and blockchain and all those amazing technology is just there. It's just a matter of like how or whether we know how to use them. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if
Before
I'm
we,
sorry, I
yeah,
even forgot your question, but yeah.
no, that's okay. I
Yeah.
think you answered it. Don't worry. Before we wrap up with a lightning round of questions, I did want to ask, are there any ideas or thoughts towards maybe expanding towards other content like audio, video, short, long form? Just curious if this would ever be something more than just a virtually daily newsletter.
That's a great question. I might start. I think podcast might be, later down the road, but depending on how much time I have. But so far, I'm focusing more on the written piece. So far with the time that I have, and I want to improve the quality and also, do more of this commentary writing.
Right. Well, that can be a teaser for the future then, but had to ask. All right, are you ready for a quick lightning round to see us off? I'll ask quick questions, and if you answer with one or two sentences, that'd be ideal. But if you feel the need to explain yourself further, that is no problem. Are you
Sure.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Absolutely.
All right, so what is the most overcovered AI topic right now?
Mm. Overcovered, meaning
Yeah.
they're um I think the bill, the SB 54 or something, the bill that was mentioned constantly by all the headlines in California, whether it will
Hmm.
be vetoed by the governor or not, that one is overcovered for sure. I think I've seen like 10 newsletters talking about that.
And for people who might not know, can you explain a bit about what that bill like essentially entails?
Yeah, so it talks about how all those AI companies should review their AI safety guidelines, how they
Mm,
do that. But depending on the revenue it generates, so if it's below, I think it's 500 million, they could just provide a high level AI safety policies. But if you're generating more than that, you have to be very specific in terms of the AI safety measures that your company takes. So it's pretty controversial, I would say. Some say, it's important, because of the all those incidents, especially with children, suicides, definitely
Yeah,
not good. And some also say it's kind of it more regulation means less acceleration in the AI development, which I also agree. So yeah, depending on we'll see how that turns out.
right.
Yeah.
AI regulation continues to stumble along as we figure it out. What do
Yeah.
you think, on the other hand, what do you think is the most undercovered AI story that actually matters that should be getting more attention?
Oh, I personally think I always forgot the name, but basically there is this hypothesis that say eventually all of the AI models, all of those language models, would become the same, the world model. So
Mm,
essentially, it doesn't matter what kind of data you use to train your model. It doesn't matter what kind of algorithms are set within your model. Eventually, all of the large language models will become one. They're so similar, they become one. I think it's amazing because essentially we're kind of recreating intelligence, even though they're artificial intelligence, but we're trying to kind of mimic how human intelligence works. And so that's something that I think is very amazing. I'm curious to see more research kind of in that domain, talking about like how consciousness is being discovered gradually and unfold. Yeah, that's something that I think should be covered more because essentially we're really recreating intelligence.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. What's one or who is one figure in the AI space you would love to sit down and have a dinner with, and what would that dinner be?
That's a great question. Um, I I listen to Lex Friedman. His
Mhm.
podcast is the one that I also listen quite often. I would say I would be interested in having dinner with. They have to be in the field of AI, right?
Ideally, but take the question where you
Yeah,
will.
I would say Jensen Huang is. I'm very interested in learning from him. I think he's very, very wise.
Yeah.
After starting the company for over 30 years, he's the oldest actually among
Oh,
all of those
really?
folks. I
I didn't
think,
know
yeah,
that.
if you think about all those big companies in AI, NVIDIA, OpenAI, all of the founders are less than 50 years old, but he is
Hmm.
61. you
Right.
know His
Yeah.
company, yeah, was founded in 1993, which is 32 years ago. So he's still doing. One of his advice that he gives to all the entrepreneurs is don't do it, don't start a company because it's super hard, which I think is very funny, but it's very, very authentic because
Yeah.
it's really takes a lot, takes a village to build a company. But I
Yeah.
I would want to have a dinner with him if possible future down the road.
Yes. And what type of food? I saw you went back to Taiwan recently, and everyone like
Mhm.
loved him there. So maybe like Taiwanese, or what are we feeling for the cuisine?
Oh, you remind me. Did you see this picture of him signing on somebody else chest?
Yeah,
Signing.
I
So
think
he
so.
said
Yeah.
before, he was. So there was a meme talking about how before he was working on CPU, now he signs on CUP. It was very funny. It's very funny. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, I think he came to the States from Taiwan when he was like 9 years old. But yeah,
Mhm.
one of the yeah, he would probably prefer Chinese food. I don't know, but I would love. I'm down to anything.
Yeah, just the company. I sometimes I forget, yeah, Jensen's kind of up there. I mean, he's still youthful in some ways, but I think the leather jacket just really makes him look youthful every time he puts that on. So I didn't really think about that before. All right, and then final question for you. If you had to give a prediction here, what do you think is an AI narrative that's going to flip in the next 6 months? So what's a current AI narrative that is being pushed by businesses, politics, culture, so forth, that would flip in the next 6 months?
Oh, Oh, that's what it means. In my mind, I was thinking, the combination because this company Grid, sentient dot XYZ, I think the future of AI
Mm,
or the future of the technology, the trend is definitely going to be AI, decentralized AI,
mhm,
where there is a marketplace that everybody can join to kind of utilize AI as a commodity. So there are a lot of models that are already kind of being built as we speak to kind of provide this platform where, um, if you have resources for GPU that are not used, you could join the platform. And users, like small business owners, especially if they want to utilize GPU to power their own AI models, they could just join the platform. They pay you with, crypto, and this platform will just be alive. And I do think that might be the future. There's a lot that are going on already. But in terms of the thing that might be flipped later down the road, I don't know. But the other thing that I think is definitely going to be the future for those that are kind of uh, want to have their own business is that there's a saying that says if there's a gold rush, right, you can be the one who also go join them to dig the gold, or you can kind of develop your shuffles. You
yep.
sell the shuffles. So all those business that are around AI, also, there's a lot of room for them to grow, depending on what are you are interested in and where you find the pain point, and then you will be able to find a solution with the help of AI to solve that pain point to provide solution to the problem. Yeah, I don't know. I That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't really. I will let you know.
Okay, after
If
this, yeah,
I
you'll
come
let
up
me
with
know.
the answer to that question. That's a great question.
No, I think you provided a great answer there and throughout here. This has been the Tea Keeper, the creator of what I think is one of the best AI news sources out there, the Daily Tea, the Era arc. It's on Substack. It will be in the show description. Thank you so much for joining us. I really,
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much for your great work. It's definitely my pleasure and my honor to join the show.
This was DC Decoded. We can be found on Substack and all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you are tuning in via Substack and you're not already subscribed to us, consider that. We provide podcast content like this, as well as updates about just the AI Collective community, which is 70,000 members strong around the world. Also, if you're listening on Substack, consider recommending us, just like the T Arc does. We've gotten a few subscribers that way. I hope also it's been reciprocated. That is a great way for Substacks to find each other. And if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, consider leaving a rating or review. It helps us with new listeners. We have entered a new season with a new host, Alif. The first episode featuring me went out last Wednesday, and you can expect more insightful episodes from her and her perspective, which is quite different from mine. I will be popping in now and then to do episodes, but this episode largely represents the last consistent time you'll be hearing from me, at least in this capacity. So I really do appreciate everybody that has been listening for the past 16 episodes. It's crazy to think about how much we've grown from literally zero to now over 650 subscribers who are mostly AI professionals in DC. And once again, I could not do it without reading a news source like the one that the Tea Keeper has. So once again, appreciate your work and take care, guys. We will be in touch very soon, as always. I hope everyone has a good night. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.